So right here on the golf course, today I'm going to play a few holes. I'm going to show you how I play, talk you through my shot choices, where I'm aiming, the type of shot I'm going to hit, but it's going to be with a difference because I'm not going to use any of the longer clubs in my bag. So why am I going to play golf and not use these? So what have I got here? I've got my driver, I've got my 3-wood, I've got my 2-iron, and I've also got my 4-iron as well. I'm going to take those out my bag, I'm not going to use them. So a few months back, I posted a video quite similar to this one, out on the golf course, playing golf, talking through my shots. I'll link that one in the corner if you'd like to watch that. Got some really positive feedback. I think, a lot of you like to see the process on the golf course, but there's quite a few comments to say, great, but I don't hit my driver 300 yards. I don't hit a 3-wood 280 yards. So today I'm going to play golf. I'm going to try and hit the ball distances that might be more realistic for some of you watching. So the longest club I've got in my bag now is my 5-iron. Now for me, typically a 5-iron carries around about 200 yards. We've had a little bit of range, it's relatively soft, so I might be able to get 210, maybe 215 yards out of that club on a good shot. So from the tee, that distance, that yardage is going to be, for some of you, kind of how far you hit your driver. Some of you will hit your driver in that region of 190 to 230, and that's what I'm going to do today. So it might give you a little bit of an idea as how I would navigate my way around the golf course, but hitting the ball distances that some of you might find a little bit more relatable. So this first hole is playing 423 yards to the middle. So yeah, I've picked a pretty long hole to begin with. I'm going to hit 5-iron, which is to say the longest club I can hit. So I'm expecting to get this in the region of 200 yards off the tee. So probably left with a good 220 odd yards in. So the first thing I'm kind of realizing here is this might be difficult to reach in 2 shots. Now, if that's the case, that's fine. I just have to sort of play this as a 3-shotter. I'm almost playing this as a par 5, trying to make a birdie. That's the way I'm kind of seeing it in my mind. So the tree on the right, I think my ball could catch this as it comes down. Now, if I'm hitting drive, I don't worry about that. So I'm actually going to try and hit this slightly left of centre because that gives me a little bit more margin for error, gives me a little bit more room. Rather than looking down the centre of the fairway, that tree is actually pretty close for me. So I'm actually going to go aim a little bit further left than I would if I was hitting, for me, a typical driver. And even though I've got 5-iron, I'm still being quite specific in where I'm trying to hit this. I've got a point at the top of that tree that I'm trying to hit towards. I'm trying to focus very much on that, not trying to be too vague with my targets. That should be pretty good. It's up the left-hand side. Might have even missed the fairway on the left. I struck it well, but it was certainly left of where I was aiming. A little bit too much draw on that, but we'll get it there and see. So this is where my tee shots ended up. I did actually miss the fairway on the left, but it's only by a few inches. But I was okay being here because that tree that was just on the right side of the fairway, that definitely would have caught my golf ball had I pushed it a little bit right. So this is absolutely fine. The flag, I don't know if you can see it from there, it's actually behind the tree. And I've got 200, I've just lasered it, I've got 238 yards to reach that flag. So this has gone around about 200 yards from the tee, which is kind of what I thought it would do for a 5-iron. So another shot of 200 yards would leave me around about 30 to 40 yards in, that's fine. I can't reach the green, so that's okay. I'm not going to try and hit this as hard as I can and try and get it as close to the green as I can. I'm actually just going to be looking at that kind of front apron part of the green and saying, well, that's where I want my ball to be. So the flag isn't my target. The target is actually where I want the ball to be, which is on the apron just prior to the green. If I can put the ball there, it gives me a decent chance of getting up and down. I'm pretty sure with this club I can't reach the bunker. So if I push this a little bit right, it's fine. I'm not going to go in that trap. So it's another 5-iron. Not using the flag as my aim, I'm using actually the left-hand edge of that bunker, which is right in the centre of that apron. And if I can leave it, 20 to 40 yards short of the green, I'd be pretty happy with that. And similar to the tee shot, I've hit it a little left, but there's no trouble there. And that is just short of the green, a little on the left. But, with bunker on the right, nothing on the left, that's the best place to miss it. So I'm a little short and a little left. So I've got it up and down, see if I can make my par. So this was a pretty good miss, really. As I said, I'm short left, but I've got a pretty clear shot into the green. And actually that flag is fairly accessible from wherever I was short of this green. It's at the back, there's loads of green to work with. So I really just need this to kind of land, let's say 50% of its journey, and then roll out the rest. So I'm certainly not going to go for the most loft. I've actually got 52 degree here. I'm going to put it a little bit more back in my stance, stand a little bit closer, hand a little bit forward. So I'm adding some elements in here which lower the flight, and obviously lower the flight gives me a little bit more rollout. So it just means I haven't got to carry the ball quite as far. So once I've chosen the club and I've decided what I want the ball to do, which is fly a little lower, then I just need to visualize exactly what that flight is, where that ball needs to land, make sure I've planned it out beforehand. And then when I have my practice shots or practice strokes, I'm really just trying to gauge what does that shot that I've seen feel like. And then with any luck, I just have to step in and execute. Okay, and safe to say I misjudged that. I actually landed that pretty much where I wanted. The green's just a little slower than I anticipated. As I hit that and I saw it land, I was expecting a pretty good result, but it's pulled up maybe it's got to be 12 feet short. So I've actually now got 12 footer for my par. Well, I said I had 12 feet for my par. I wish it was 12 feet. Certainly a little bit longer than that. Yeah, definitely pulled up a lot shorter than I anticipated. Greens are clearly a little softer and a little slower than I anticipated. So I need to grind pretty hard here to see if I can save my par. I don't think this is going to do a huge amount. The chip that I hit, as it came up this slope, did swing a little bit to the right, but I think it was more to do with this slope on here. And I've definitely sort of gone past that. If anything, this looks like it might just fall a little bit left at the end. So I'm going to put this just outside the right. And as I do that, I kind of see the whole putt. I see the ball taking off and I see it breaking across the green. And as I watch that, I kind of trace almost like I see a white line. And then when I walk in, similar to what you said with the chip there, I'm just visualizing that shot and I've got it planned out even before I step in. And then it's just a case of trying to make what I see happen. That's a misread. So it went that way, turned a bit right, I saw it was going to the left, misread, and that for me is a bogey. So if I wanted to turn that bogey into a par, pretty difficult to hold that putt. That was probably some 18 feet. So really the best way for me to turn that 5 into 4 was just pitch the ball a little bit closer from where I was short of the green. That's a bogey. So off to a bogey start. It's not going to get any easier on this one because this 14th is 385 yards. So it's a little shorter than that previous hole. And provided I get a decent tee shot away, I should be able to get pretty close to this green. I should be able to get on the green in two. There is a bunker on the left, which is 200 yards to get past. So that's going to be touch and go. Slight miss hit. If I'm a little left, I'll be in that bunker. A really solid shot, I might be past it, but I don't really want to try and kind of flirt with that bunker, so I really want to try and aim away from it. So what I'm really looking at here is not necessarily, and this is a great way to think about your tee shots, is I'm not necessarily looking at where is the centre of the fairway. I'm looking at what is on this hole which is going to cause me to not be able to get the ball on the green. That bunker on the left is certainly one of those. You know, if I'm in that bunker, it's really give me a really tricky shot, and there's a good chance I won't be able to get to the green. So I need to be right of that. And then there's a tree that you can see on the right hand side of this hole, and again I can't get past that. So if I hit it a little right behind that tree, that's going to stop me getting to the green. So what I'm really looking at is the edge of that tree, the edge of that bunker. Those are the 2 points on this hole which will stop me getting my second shot on the green. So I have to really go smack bang in between those two. And that's a really great way of thinking about it. Not necessarily what's the middle of the fairway, but kind of looking at the extremes on the hole and where do you need to be. So, picking my target based on that. Need a good shot here. And that's a little bit of a better swing. It's still a little bit at the left, but it should be in the fairway. I've avoided the trouble. I've got a chance of getting to the green. So just found the fairway, left half, but that's 3 full swing shots that have gone a little left of me. Left off that first, slightly left on the approach, and again left off this tee. Not disastrous because it's in the fairway. And I'm not going to necessarily change anything at this stage because they're not costing me anything at the moment. I'm more likely going to just play with it as opposed to trying to fix it on the course. Now, you can see here the green is in front of me. It's a little bit of a raised front. I can see the green, but it's not that easy for me to really visually see where that flag is. But I use the GPS watch and the laser, and I use them together. I can get a really good idea of what's actually up there. You can see from the watch it's 183 to the middle and 200 to the back edge. So 183 middle. Now when I laser that flag, it's coming in 191. So if it's 183 to the middle and the flag's at 191, I can obviously work out that the flag's towards the back edge. So 191, back of the green is 200. A 5-iron that I've been hitting off the tee is probably going to be a little bit long, because I've been hitting them just over 200. So I'm going to go 6-iron. So it's pretty important that I make swings with confidence, and using the watch and the laser really enables me to know where that flag is on that green. Now, the flag isn't my target. I'm going in from nearly 200 yards, so my target is just middle of the green. That's all I'm concerned about. Can I get my ball on the middle of the green and have the putter as my next club? That's just right, the flag, but it should be on the green. Middle of the green, and I'm putting for birdie now. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that result. I kind of knew I was never going to go over the back of the green with this club. I've not quite made it to pin high, but I've hit that, 3, 4, 5 yards short of that, so pretty happy with that. And to be honest, whenever I'm going in from around that 200-yard mark, as long as I'm using the putter as my next club, I'm pretty happy. I'm certainly not good enough, and unfortunately, the chances are you're probably not good enough to really get focusing on where that flag is, which part of the green it's on. If you can just make sure that you're using a putter as your next club, that's the best option. So similar to what I'm doing before, visualizing the ball rolling across the green. This is a big right to left slope. It's a little uphill. But if I can get this on start on the right line, because it's uphill, I can be a little bit more aggressive. And there's half decent chance of making this. A little short on pace. Right on line. A little short on pace. But it's a pretty stress-free par. And I'll take that because that was a tough hole playing nearly 400 yards. So par there leaves me 1 over for those 2 holes, which, I'm not unhappy with. And I also made a slightly better swing into that green. Obviously the first 3 shots were to the left. That one's a little bit better swing, and it kind of went pretty much where I was aiming. So now we're on to the par 5 15th. Now, I've got 179 yards to the middle, and the flag is a little bit past the middle. I've just lasered that, and it's just over 185. So the flag is certainly back of centre, but if you look where the flag is relative to those bunkers, again, similar to what I said on the last green, I don't really want to get caught up with that flag. I just want to be thinking about you know, if I was to draw a big circle around, let's say 57 iron shots, kind of where would that circle fit? And clearly if I put that around the flag, what that suggests is that, you know, a half decent swing could end up in the bunker, it could end up left of the green. So I just want to kind of position this just right of the flag. And I've got 7 iron because it's a little bit down breeze. And it's also a little bit off the left. So a perfect shot here would be, yeah, a couple of yards short of the flag and certainly more into the centre of the green, right to that flag. And I didn't quite middle that, so that might be a couple of yards short. Okay, so you see it's in the middle of the green, it's exactly where I was aiming. I didn't quite get it. It was a good shot, it was maybe just a groove lower than I thought. I figured it might cost me a few yards. It probably is a little bit short up in high, but again, good target, good process, okay execution, still leaves me on the green and putting. Okay, so you can see where I've ended up, exactly as I thought, a couple of yards short of pin high, but I'm in a pretty good spot. And you know, the key takeaway there would be, this is a tough hole. It's a, you know, playing 180 odd yards, and the fact that I hit a 7 iron isn't really, you know, shouldn't be concerned, because you're going to probably have a club which will go 180 yards. The fact that mine's a 7, yours might be a 5 iron, a rescue, whatever it may be, it's still the same distance, still trying to plot our way around from that distance, trying to think about the club. And if you can just make sure that you're giving yourself a putter as your next shot, that's really the key sort of takeaway. If I was to hit this close to the hole, it'd be a bad swing. It'd be an aim which is more here, and it's a pull left. So I really want to be trying to play away from most of the flags, unless I've got a really short iron and it's right in the centre of the green. Now I've left myself here a 25-30 footer, and I think most of us would be fairly happy with that on a par 3, which is fairly well protected and relatively long. This one is now uphill right to left. So again, I'm sort of visualising that line, picking a point that I'm trying to roll the ball over. And then once I step in, my thought process is really just pace, pace, pace. And I've not got the right pace, I don't think. Okay, well, it was round about the right pace. I thought it was going to be a little bit short. A slight overread. It did start to break in a little bit at the end, but again, that's another pretty stress-free par. And I stay 1 over par for those 3 holes, and we're going to use the 16th behind me as my last hole. 16, 325 yards. But that's on a direct line. I've got to play at the dog leg. The trees on the right hand side I can't get past. If I leak this a little bit right, I could be blocked out from the green. So I really got to be centre of the fairway. I don't want to be right at all. The trouble is on this shot, the further left you go off the tee, the longer it is the approach into the green. So this is a tough tee shot because it kind of feels like I want to hit it a little bit right, but that's where I could get blocked out from the green. So I've got 5 iron clearly because it's the longest club I can hit. So I'm trying to go. There's a little kind of tuft of grass just short of the fairway. I'm trying to go over that, solid strike, and I should have a nice clear shot into the green from there. That's perfect. Right, exactly where I wanted it. That's hopefully going to get me past those trees and approach into the green. So it's perfect. The tee's right back there. It's a pretty severe dog leg. So if I'd have pushed this 15 yards right, I would have been clearly blocked out from that tree there. I probably would have even clipped that tree. Probably you can't even see that. So that was a tough tee shot because from there, left was safer, but it was always going to leave me a longer shot. So this one was one where I had to just kind of try and hit a really good shot and just take a little bit of a risk. Like I say, 10-yard push and I'm blocked out. Now, ball's quite a bit below my feet. It's a bit of an awkward lie. It's below and it's also a little bit tilted down this way. Watch tells me 176 to the middle. Laser tells me 173 to the flag. Now, how far that flag is away, kind of irrelevant. I don't know if you can see, but there's quite a bit of water short. So I've got a lot of trouble around the green. I've got an awkward lie. where the flag is, it really doesn't come into my thinking. It's more a case of saying, okay, I've got 176 yards now to the middle of the green. Where do I want to be? Well, clearly I want to be right at that flag. I don't want to be short. So on the last hole, I hit a 7-iron from sort of 177. This time I've got 6-iron. Because ball below my feet generally means I'm going to have to tip over a little bit more, and it generally means that I can't make as full a golf swing, and therefore I'm going to take one more club. If I took the 7 from a level, I could probably get there. But from here, that 7-iron is going to mean I want to swing full. When I swing full, it's going to likely just cause me to lift up a little bit to get into my normal posture. Really run the risk of hitting that thin and end up in that water. So I'm going to have to try and play a little left to right shot here, because I can't go just right at that flag because this tree's in the way. So I've got to try and go at the flag and try and drift it to the right. And if I can just get this somewhere on the green, then I'm pretty happy with that. So ball below my feet. I'm not overthinking that. I'm just letting where the ball is just dictate my setup. I'm visualizing this ball going out to the flag and then drifting left to right. And I just have to fully commit now. There's the left to right fade. Has it made it onto the green? Just. I don't know if you can see that, it's just made it over the water. But that was a really tricky shot. There was a lot against me there. I couldn't really aim where I wanted to. A lot of trouble, ball below my feet, long shot, that was tough. So you have to play the percentages. And hopefully I did that there. It wasn't the perfect execution, but I'm sort of up around the green. I can possibly get a putter on that, and that's really, really good from that situation. So from back there, I wasn't even sure if that was on the green, but it is actually on the green. Landed just here. It just almost looked like it was the fringe grass. I probably could have taken one more there. I probably could have taken 5 and comfortably be middle of the green, not worried about going long. But as for these few holes, that was probably, well, it definitely was the toughest shot I had to hit. There was just a lot to factor in with obviously the water, the distance, the tree overhanging, the fly, the swing, trying to fade the ball. There's a lot of things I had to factor in there. So I'm actually pretty happy with that, although a little closer to what I would have liked. So 2 putts gets me out with a par, all uphill all the way, and it's again a little bit right to left. I think a lot of the putts have had a right to left today. So same process, I'm visualizing that line. Once I've visualized that line, as I step in, I'm just thinking pace. It's pace, 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 pace. I'm never in here questioning where my line is. I'm always just focusing solely on the pace. Left it short. That was uphill all the way. That was a tough putt. Slight misread, not great on pace. That was a pretty poor putt, if I'm honest. So I've left myself probably the best part of 3 feet for a par. But I know what the line is because I saw that breaking a little right to left at the end. So I know this is probably just inside right. So again, I've chosen my line. Once I walk in, I can't change that. It's now just a case of rolling it the right distance. And I'll definitely take a par on that hole, even though I gave myself a little bit more work to do than I intended. 3, maybe 4 putter. But yeah, tough hole. Out with the par, I'll take that.